Welcome back to Chart Power, everyone. I'm going to jump right in here with Chainlink because I think I'm going to name this video Good News and Bad News because there's good news and bad news. So I guess that makes sense, right? So we'll start off with the bad news. The bad news is that Chainlink is down, and it's down a lot. And I'm not sure, I'm just going to cover that real briefly to let you know where we're at in case you aren't looking at charts and you don't know. Well, this is where we're at. We're down here. We're at about we're in the $17 range, and what's kind of interesting is that it bounced off of the same $15 price point that it hit before. That could be the bottom, or that could just be a short-term little bounce there. I did in a previous video not too long ago, June 18th. I saw the real weakness in Chainlink. I made a video about that, and I predicted the price movement that we're seeing right now. Okay, so I mean that's basically the bad news. So let's get to the good news. And jump over to my Chainlink chart. So, well, I mean, really, that's not all the bad news. The bad news is, I guess the bad news is this, is that it could keep falling farther. Technically, I would say that's the bad news, because it being where it's at isn't actually news. That's just a fact. And as far as how far down it can go, well, look, I'd like to draw your attention to these trends here that keep developing. Very steep downward trends for Chainlink, and that's why it was pretty apparent that it was going to be taking a pretty big drop. I mean, in addition to some other indicators, which I covered in previous videos, so I'm not going to go back over that. Let's just say real quickly here that this pattern, and there's really nothing to indicate that this pattern will continue except that it is a pattern, so that gives it a slight probability that it could happen. If it bounces off this level and continues the same downward trajectory, it would go something like that. And so that would be a bounce off of somewhere around the $22 level, and then after that there's not a whole lot of support. It's hard to imagine it getting through all of this support, so I'm not really projecting this. I'm just drawing out, I'm just continuing the pattern that's already there. I really hope I really think and hope that it's not going to go down that low, but it is something to keep our eye on. Okay, let me get to that good news I'm talking about, and I will show you one of the reasons why I am saying that I think it won't get that low. And it's not perfect. Nothing ever is, all right? But it's about the best that I have to go on at this point, and it's this. Okay, this point right here was the first time that it hit 20, right under it, or 20 exactly, or something like that. This was an amazing day for Chainlink because it hit this amazing high of 20. Well, after it did that, it came off pretty harshly, and a lot of people said that was the end of Chainlink at that point. Anyway, that was a really interesting time for me because I followed Chainlink. I was in Chainlink and had followed Chainlink before that time. And so obviously when it reached those highs, it had a lot of my attention. But when it came off, it also had a lot of my attention. And I watched this pattern develop day by day, this very sideways formation. So that this pattern here has kind of ingrained itself in my head, maybe forever. and so I don't know. Maybe it's just because of that, just because it's stuck in my head that I've been looking for it, or maybe it really is significant. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this area. All right, and I'm going to move it over to where we are now. There are some similarities. There's a lot more volatility, so things are going to kind of spike more wildly and more extreme in the areas that we're at. But I do just want to point out the similarities between the last time that it hit a crazy high and fell off and everyone said it was the end of Chainlink, and this time where it hit a crazy high, fell off, and everyone is saying it's the end of Chainlink. All right, so let's take a quick look here. What happened? So it had this steep run up, obviously. It hit right here. This part, I would say, is analogous to this part, okay? Then we have that high peak, and that is the same peak as here, right? Then it fell, came back up, tried to get up, but couldn't reach its previous high. So that is just like that. And then we have this steep bouncing drop after that. So here is the steep bouncing drop. Well, what happened after that? In the past, it finally hit its low and continued slowly upwards until it started gaining some momentum. So the past does not always equal the future. However, in trading, patterns is one of the main things that we have to work off of. It's not like, hey, look, this is going to happen. It's just in terms of keep your eye out for this possibility because it might happen. All right, so if this was going to happen, that if it was going to follow this pattern, it does mean that this $15 line probably isn't going to hold. It would need to reach a lower low. And again, as I covered in the beginning of this video, that's a pretty crazy area. I mean, it's going to have to get down to 10, 12 bucks. And if that happens, people are going to lose their minds. And that's just going to be, to see it go through all of this support here would be a very dicey time, not very good time for Chainlink, especially having hit a high of over 50. I mean, just the amount of money and percent drop it would have taken at that point. I mean, it's already taken massive drops. Last time I measured it, it was something like a 79% drop. That's incredible. But these alts are highly volatile, and certainly something like this could happen. And I just want to make a note, two notes. Number one is that maybe it is the end of Chainlink. I mean, I don't personally think so, but you always have to entertain any possibility, even if it's a low probability, and just keep your eyes open for more information that supports or denies that. All right, and the second thing is, this is not financial information. I'm just looking at charts. This is what I look at personally. I'm not your financial advisor, and I'm not telling you what to do. What you do is up to you, and I'm just letting you know the types of things that I look at. Okay, so let's continue on here. Let's continue on with the thought that this pattern will hold, will give us a low of somewhere around here. But really, one of the main reasons I want to bring this up is if that is the low, and then it eventually starts climbing up again like it did in the past, well, where would I be looking to buy more Chainlink? I mean, would I just assume this is the low and start stuffing more money in at that point and hope I'm right and hope my big bet pays off and I make tons of money off of the gamble? No, I personally wouldn't do that. I mean, looking at this past pattern here, you could have taken a huge gamble on trying to buy that low, or you could have waited. Now this low, if you're waiting, you couldn't buy this low. You could buy either this one or this one, because at that point higher lows have been confirmed. In which case that would have gotten me buying. Disregard this price because I copied this pattern. But just as far as the chart is concerned, where would I feel comfortable starting to buy again? Right in this area. This trying to buy here is what they call trying to catch a falling knife. It's very difficult. You don't know where it's going to end. Certainly back then, we didn't have a previous chart pattern to work off of to determine anything like that. So you're taking a gamble. And for me, this is not about gambling. This is about leveraging probability. All right. And again, because this pattern might not have anything to do with what's going on right now. However, it's something that I'm going to be on the lookout for. So applying that to where we're at now, if we get another low, if we get a bounce and it starts trending up again, and if I was looking to buy more Chainlink, I might be looking to buy somewhere in this area. And I think for anyone in a position like me, just seeing it trending back up again would just in itself be a great thing to see, whether I was planning on putting more money in or not. So basically, this is what I'm looking for in Chainlink. Within all the bad news, this is the good news that I have, which is the possibility that this pattern will repeat in the future, and that we may be near the lows for Chainlink. I'm still long-term bullish. I am short-term bearish because of this incredible weakness, and we still do not have a turnaround point. So until I see confirmation of a turnaround, I'm still bearish. It can still keep going lower until we see the change. Well, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for joining me. If you like the content, please give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to catch future content, consider subscribing to this channel. Thanks, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.